Hi, welcome to Queer Stars. I want to share with you some life hacks and wisdoms to navigate these astrological times. We have fiery weather with the Aries North Node and Aquarian energy landing a lot of things from the stars. And I want to discuss how I work with that, how one might approach working with all this star energy, all this expansive illumination, transformation energy, and the Aries, which is similar, but in a different embodied way, fiery way. Um, with Aries North Node, we're talking about our collective evolution being guided by Aries. It's the ecliptic of the moon we're looking at with the North Node, and that means it has two elliptics on this oval elliptic that the moon's orbit makes. And the North Point is considered the head of a dragon, and we're evolving into that. And that's in Aries. And as an initiator right now, collectively, we're being guided through that archetype into true identity, reclaiming lost parts of self that may have not blossomed or had space in you to be honored, to be seen, and fully manifested and embodied as Aries likes to. And so any healing of old childhood wounds too, especially because Chiron, the wounded healer, that centaur that loves to just bring our most vulnerable wound to the surface and to be worked, is conjunct the Aries North Node. So our collective evolution is about healing childhood wounds. That's just straightly to the point. It's also about healing innate instinctual self and permission to be that and align with your truth, your identity, and to have more of a evolution of your identity and yourself. Maybe one that you didn't even get when you were young. And the healing of the wound of childhood makes space for that. And we have a work upon us collectively to really live into the evolution of that, an identity, of embodying a unique identity, special. Aries is a champion archetype. It's if it were a sports team, it would be a boxer, or something like that. If it were on the soccer team, it might be like the star forward. Like it likes to be there in the action, doing the best that it absolutely can do. It's the part of us that has all this seed energy and egg energy like springtime. And we're trying to renew and rebirth ourselves in a true way right now, each of us. And with the Aquarian energy and all the stars energy, we have higher potentials for everybody. It's like almost a little fairy wand from the stars and the ancestors and the fates, looping the collective right now, saying, time to get along and collective thoughts. It's almost like Glinda the Good with the wand just makes the wish and we now it's all good. Or hey, Mary Poppins showed up and bibbidi boppity boop. I guess that was a different one, wasn't it? That was bibbidi boppity boop was let's go to the ball. Let's do a spell. You don't need to be sad or alone. Let's go find the prince and just do something impossible, like bridge the class divide with a glass slipper. Anyways, there's a lot of that kind of stuff happening right now because Saturn's in Pisces, which is a magical energy, and Saturn would structure things. So we find that structure is being really tipped more towards the fantastical, maybe a little more Mary Poppins, maybe a little more Cinderella, a little more Bibbidi Boppity Boo, abracadabra. I find that youth are very interested in witchcraft, and even all ages are interested in magic and with witchcraft. So I'm happy. My life gets more and more fun, and I want to have more and more of that kind of fun with people. And I think that's a big trend that I love. Another thing that's a trend is queerness and exploring gender and identity. That's really breaking open with the youth and families, and everybody's exploring the genders and love stories and love narratives. And with the Aries leaving, we're shedding off the tail of the dragon and shedding Libra. And so shedding codependency, shedding what others think, shedding caring too much about the other and othering in general, just letting it go. We don't need an other. We don't need to project anything about ourselves or others on anything and just letting all that go. And we have so much to reclaim there with the Libra letting go and cleansing. It's so massive because Libra rules our kidneys. Those are the equilibrium balance of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, There's many other F-bombs you can drop in there. We all have reactions in our adrenals. And so what happens between the Aries and Libra archetype is we have Mars energy inciting action and reactions and stuff. And the Libra scales the yin organ going, oh. And I'm an acupuncturist, so that's why I'm dropping in all of a sudden a Chinese medicine term with yin. But we see in astrology masculine and feminine too, and Aries and Libra are the ultimate of that because they're fire and air, they're Venus and Mars. It's fire and social. They're like, I love you. That means it has this effect. And I hate you. That means it has this effect. Venus traditionally rules love and war, and I feel like that we really see through the Aries archetype and Libra dancing with each other our love narratives of I love you, I hate you, like really playing out. And in a mix often. With Saturn and Pisces, things are confusing. I'd say people are walking through a lot of unknowns. And with a lot changing, because Aquarius does like to do that, and because we've just got aspects with Uranus that are just sending change to whole new levels. Fantastical ones. With Saturn and Pisces, like I said, we're all going to be dancing in technicolor clouds with a prince soon because there's sort of fantastical things upon us in terms of the change. You may have felt like your house was suddenly picked up in a tornado and dropped over here. And what we are being asked and guided to wonder into is step by step into this unknown. Can we just follow step by step the beat of our own heart, our own instincts, our own intuition, our own truth and knowing, guided by the euphoria of true identity as we arrive in it through our own experiential knowledge? That's the Aries gift. May we reclaim that in a way we never even felt as a child. May that be the practice of decolonization that we do in these days as we make space for everyone to have that gift of their special gift, their special purpose brought here in the expression of that, be made space for. And can we make a space in the world for that process, for ourselves, for others? Be constantly in a state of change and arrival. If we had a society that did reclaim change as a center and connection and truth and unique expression that was authentic, if we have these things centered, we might see many things change. So I wonder what might shed off that back of the dragon, these codependent behaviors. We have an entire service economy based on codependent behaviors, and they're disingenuous. What if we didn't have to have that in our entire business culture, in our entire culture? What if we had instead connection, authenticity, dignity, true respect for everyone's power and unique gift? What if we had something that really humanized all of us right at the center of all of our interactions? And we built all of our interactions from that. And so we're talking about the kidneys here and all the action and reaction, all that we're going to do to bring to the world, and all that effects in relationship that's going to land us. We're really taking stock of where we put our actions and how that affects us. It's an amazing time to connect with the Vedic systems chart as a higher self, a higher potential guide. I think of the Vedic system because it's where the stars are in real time as an interesting guide to track your own spiritual growth. And I certainly look at growing into my higher potentials, looking at my Vedic chart. And so as I'm doing my Aries North Node and healing work, I'm looking at what is the higher potential of me? This is this other kind. And now with all the Aquarius energy landing, I really see us being able to live into our higher potentials and catch those in the stars, bring them here, especially ones that are a bit that are illicit change, that are a unique gift from the stars, that is you. And it's just time to show up and just be you and do things maybe you were afraid of that were hidden. Things are just, the gifts are landing, being integrated now. So it's a time of rewriting the end of old stories, a time of reinvention, and a time of arrival within the true self, which is interesting because that is a very queer experience. It reminds me of being transgender, where you're constantly honing in on, oh, that feels like me, that feels like me, and you're in the process of remembering. At the same time as you're going forward into always changing and new, we called it transition. And so I live in a state of constant change. As somebody who's transgender, I'm in a transition. Um, it's been fascinating to be in a really perpetual transition. Um, but its wisdom is similar to the Aries North Node, where we value this process of becoming. It is actually honed and centered in our euphoria, our intuition. And everyone is going through this more than ever, not just transgender people or even queer identified people. I would say that everyone is getting to go through a transition of family, love, home, relationships. What does that mean for you? And how can your identity thrive in this? And how can your unique gifts and identities help relationships and family and home thrive as you continue to redefine it as you need to? There's a real inner reflection on all of our hearts right now because the inner Venus star point, which is a pattern that the planet Venus makes in the sky over an 8-year cycle, it's an actual perfect 5-pointed star. And, different planets will be on this out of the 12 at any given time. And every year and a half, when Venus cazinis the sun, which goes into the heart of the sun, it's exactly one of these points. Right now, we're still in the effects of the last cazimi, which was last summer in Leo, and it was retrograde. So Venus is reflective. We're a little stinky right now about how our Leo has been so damaged in our life because we have not been able to be ourselves and we have not had space to be ourselves. And no one ever made that, and it's this fight now with Aries North Node. There's going to be probably a lot of fights this year and a lot of stinking trauma drama and just going off of the tail of the dragon, cleaning out. I feel like we're sick salmon going home in this beautiful river. The water bear Aquarius has unleashed upon the world, and we're just swimming, and the waters are flowing around us. We're swimming against the current, and the waters are just like these compassion waters that have known us so long, and they're just like, oh my, they listen to the whole story between Aries and Libra, and they go, "This dragon, wow, this is the best gifts I've had in a long time." They eat our stories like treats, and the energies, the celestial beings, they love Aries Libra because it really is bringing us home to our true potential. Like if you look at tarot cards that are Aries, it's like the Eon card, the Judgment card. It's like, oh, right before the world. I mean, good. It starts off with the emperor, which is almost a beekeeper, right? Like cultivating energy. And then by the end, it's like, wow. And so it's everything of these. And what can we, I guess, offer the universe of that? The most juicy, the most healing way. Saturn's in Pisces. We're here to heal right now. Lilith is in Virgo with Juno, the bride. We're a divine bride healer. Everyone is like the priest sticks at the center of the labyrinths that my Swedish ancestors had. There's hundreds of them there. There's hundreds of labyrinths all over the world, thousands. There's usually a wellness in the middle and a literal wellspring. My ancestors in Sweden considered a young maiden there. I have been really seeing this return of Lilith, especially through the Virgo archetype of Juno, the bride in there, this return of the divine bride priestess. And I feel like this sense of like, I'm an Aries, everyone gets to be in the parade, waving, getting to be the Virgo divine bride priestess. So what is your version of that for your gender? Um, what is the multi-gendered version of that for you, of your diva, of your inner champion? What is your beauty calling card? How do you want to appear in the world? What does that impact? How much do you want to impact the world? How are you doing that? How do you want to push yourself to maybe meet that goal? Because there's a lot of gifts right now in all this change. As much as we might be encouraged to show up in new fiery ways and just express ourselves, show up to heal some old lost parts and lost magic. Maybe the world didn't make space for it. Boy, we've sure had it hidden a lot in the last 15 years while Pluto's been in Capricorn because our underworld's been judged by something very stodgy, determinist, calcified, earthy, slow. It's burdened with definitive answers and resistance to change and a stubborn logic that's negative. It's just too much of a Boy Scout for its own good that just says, oh, well, it's hard and this is bad. And so I'm going to judge it because it's always been hard and bad. And then it just is. And so we've been really stuck in that in terms of our potential, in terms of how we judge even the subconscious. And a lot of the shadow dancing that Aries Libra axis does is really influenced by the shadow world. So I'm really happy that last week Aquarius took over the underworld. For 20 years, we are going to have Aquarius ruling that logic now. Our subconscious is actually going to be more egalitarian, more humanitarian, more fun, more tolerant and adaptive and innovative to include everybody's unique gift. And that human right for authenticity, I think is just a wonderful value that Aquarius brings. Also, a lot more teamwork, a lot more, we're all on the same team. Let's figure out why the fight's going on. And then things can change. So let's figure out another way to do this. And so we've got movement in all kinds of ways we haven't had in, well, especially the last 15 years that Pluto's been in Capricorn. But even the last 200 years, the we've been really having a limit on the underworld. It's been in Earth for a long time. And basically the Industrial Revolution is where we can see the impacts of that on the Earth. The extractive industry has done a number during these Earth times. So we're going to air now. We're thinking about our social systems. We're thinking about our social behaviors, and really showing up to create a world that's more fun, more fair, more free, more for all. And what does that mean? And that has space within freedom to be a self, but also space to be with all. So there's this tension right now. We especially have a lot of air tools like on the internet, and we have AI blowing up. Plus, even vehicles are now not just on the ground; they've actually started to hover and getting really into jets and Star Trek here. And I think I just saw something about them having all putting a nuclear reactor on the moon. Oh my goodness. There's a lot with technology. The air is going poof, in many different directions. So what I want to encourage you to do is to start getting to know the stars. Start aligning with what are your challenges and what are your gifts and how do they form a weave together. It works really beautifully. And if you look at your Vedic chart, even as another potential of you, it's maybe your higher potential self. What would it be like to bridge these two together? What would it be like to have yourself be understood as a purpose of from the divine that's unique, a gift here? What would it be like to make more space for your divine purpose and your specialness, uniqueness, to push that bridge, to weave it, to activate yourself? Oh, I've never done that. I've always wanted to. If I could do that, it would just transform my life. Do it. What if you just do those things? What if those things become activating you? You can't ignore them, and you must become your best self now. And we make the world from that place. I see a world where we don't need prisons. I see a world where we don't do policing like we do now. We look back in just grief and war at the levels of violence. We don't have violence. We have consent culture because, of course, everyone's pleasure is supported. Everyone's into their own pleasure and their own freedom to be themselves. And that makes space for everyone to be into that for other people too. So we have sovereignty built through self-determination, through euphoria, through the gate of everyone's own foreknowing. And we build a world where that's supported. We build a world where the ecosystem and animals are on the team, and humans start to turn down their own drama and words and just decenter humans. We need to center the ecosystem, the animals, and listen to them, as well as the youth and kids. Everything needs to open and awaken to its intuitive knowing, not just so it can go have fun and do whatever it wants. That's not the purpose of Aries. It might look like that, and people might judge Aries as that. It's considered very self-serving. But what I see with the Aries Aquarius merger, which is a massive thing upon us right now, is an invitation to be your true self and to let others be and to let life live its life and to come bearing gifts and be that gift. and to just live in this generous spirit of fun. I feel it has its own magnanimity. We would want to share and we want to build and create, be part of this prosperity. I believe Aries is actually the beekeeper hive of prosperity and that energy of the benefic prosperity of the hive. So, what if we're making honey? Is this selfish then? If that's what we think is fun, does Aries actually only reduce to selfishness if what it does for fun makes the world come alive? I mean, this is a carbon world. It's dead stars. We need to bring it to life with our fire. So if our spirit does show up here in its best and harness its highest potentials from the stars in this area of Aquarius time, could we possibly feel like rock stars and make a world that's just like not tolerating these low standards? What if we up that selfishness in a way that just exalted life? That we have to protect the animals. What is happening with our food system? There are toxins and everything. What if everybody started to really relate from their self to life as a self and to all the other selves in their life and just, oh, we gotta clean this up. It's as if it's attacking me. We don't differentiate between self and other as much anymore. I believe that's what's shedding off of the back of the dragon in this Aries, Libra, North Node, South Node time is this duality. We're having non-duality, I believe. I believe our spiritual levels are exalting and elevating, activating, and I believe non-duality is supporting them in this entering into a third space logic of pure magic, where the ancestors help us remember this way, the third way, the middle way, the way of the trigrams, even in the I Ching, where they create the 10,000 things. In alchemy, it's a triangle. It's really generative. So this fertility energy is upon us. Can't hold back spring, and why would we want to? And so, with all the love in our hearts, we can be ourselves and build a world as friends would make it and discover true love. And I want to share with you a song that came to me that I caught at the end of a witch camp a few years ago when we were doing work on racism and decolonization. It was really heavy. And there was a lot of unknown. We've been doing work with an elder who's from Siberia who had this song with horses running through the dark. And I brought this song. I said, I don't know for the last ritual if you need a song, but I just caught a song by the willow tree at the lake. And they said, okay, we actually need a song. And they learned it on the spot. And the drummers didn't even have this. It was so in sync with our story and our message of integrating with the unknown and these horses running as a herd into the unknown. I want to bring that medicine because the horses, they are an animal that's woven with people and woven the earth. And they are from Siberia and Mongolia originally, and they ran around the earth. And everywhere they've ran, the horse people have become born. Like in many nations have adopted the horse all over and become the horse people. So the horse has united the earth, one of many animals that has. And I just want to sing this song because it's this song that came after the horse song, and we closed the camp with it, and it wove a few strands. And it's a song that I asked for a song about decolonization, and this is what it was. And it reminds me of this time upon us now where we have Aries and Libra really holding court for our evolution. It's like, wow, amidst all this fight, we have to figure out our love story and our gender and our relationship with identity and all this love stuff and relationship stuff. We have to put our highest potential there. We have to show up like stars there. So this is what decolonization looks like today. It's come home to our hearts to the highest potential and build this world as friends would, from power within and in relationship with power within everything. And in that non-duality, this huge power can be remembered. And we can be lifted up in something different. And so here's the song. It's very simple. Never know love like this before. Never know love like this before. It's changing me. It's changing me. Setting me free. Setting me free. Go well into this good night. Merry meet, merry part, merry meet again.